Hey there. It's been a whopper of a month, year. So I thought I would start trying something new in the new year of changing up how I do these vlogs. Usually I do an announcement and game by game breakdown of updates, and what I'm going to try doing instead is doing one deep dive of some experiment or thing that I learned, something that I discovered through my design process or that I'm philosophizing about. And then highlighting one unranked game that I had play tested or played in that past month. Unranked being a term that I'm workshopping to be an umbrella term for multi-victor and victorless games, these non-hierarchical games. So, and then after that, I would give my updates and announcements and whatever. So, I thought I'd start by trying that this month. Okay, cool. Let's get started. So, what happens if you give a single player like a nuclear option? The game vibes I've been working on has been in like a really good spot. It's got like the sort of tension I'm looking for. The pacing is good. It's got the complexity that I'm okay with, and it could be smoother, but like I'm happy with how much there is there. And so, in general, like holistically, I'm very happy with that game. But it's just got this like one problem, which is where sometimes players could get a little stubborn and cooperative and try to sort of figure out a solution where everybody could win, which is often just not possible in that game, you know? So they'll be fussing around, and this could tend to mess up the pacing of the game. And this doesn't happen very often, but it happens enough that I want to do something about it. So this brings me to the nuclear option. I decide to add a teacher card that is given to a player at the beginning of the game, the most mature player. And the teacher can decide at any time that the game is dragging on too long and to end it early. And and that's all it does. It just gives the players permission to end the game early. And in a game where like the timing of the end game is like incredibly critical, this is like an incredibly abusable, powerful like permission to give to the players. Because like you could start with like a vibing set of cards, and then the rest of the game is just about trying to maintain that while accelerating the game state by revealing cards. And so to give somebody permission to just end it early, well, like somebody could theoretically end it right at the very beginning mechanically, but like that's not very mature, and it's not exactly dragging on if it's at the beginning of the game. So this is like a very fuzzy, subjective like power to grant to the players. And I found in my testing, I tested this at PAX Unplugged, and found that players are extremely reluctant to ever like engage with it. In fact, half the time they wouldn't even like engage with the teacher card that they set aside. And honestly, this is intended behavior. There was like one time where it was actually used, and I felt like it was actually a relatively appropriate means of using it. I got some suggestions during playtesting to give the teacher softer power. Sort of instead of ending the game, they could force a player to reveal a bell card to end the game to accelerate the end state. And I didn't want to do that because my gut feeling is that if you give the teacher this sort of soft power, they're going to be more like there's going to be a lot more plausible deniability to abuse that. They might be like, oh, I'm not ending the game, I'm just forcing you to play a bell card. And that's like something I didn't want the players to do. I didn't want them to be disrupting the flow of the game because they felt like they had a better judge of it. I wanted them to be responsible for ending the experience entirely. And yeah, so far I'm liking the way that's playing out. It gives this very in-universe thematic excuse to end things. And like honestly, isn't there always like a nuclear option in like every game? Like if you're not enjoying the game, nobody's forcing you at gunpoint to play. This isn't Squid Games. Like you could just be like, we're not really having fun with this, are we? Like, we could just quit. So what this card is really just doing is giving the players some like an out, basically, an out to say like, you might find yourself in a situation where you want to end things early, and that's okay. That's the thing that happens in this game. So yeah, I'm liking it. If you give the players a nuclear option, you might just find that they won't use it unless it's absolutely necessary. Maybe. Your mileage may vary. Okay, so to spotlight a victorless game that I had tried this past month, at PAX Unplugged, I finally got a chance to play Vicky's That's Not a Real Word game, and I really enjoyed it. They've got this game where you have all these like word particles, like prefixes, suffixes, and midfixes, with a little description of what the word means or particle means, and then some rules about how it could be attached to other words that are only sort of soft enforced. It seems like you could break those rules if you think it would be really funny or cool. And that's and everybody's just taking turns playing these cards into a shared space to make up words, and that's the whole game. There aren't any points that's aside. There isn't like a race to play all your cards, although playing all your cards is a goal. But it doesn't end the game or anything. That was it. And it was just four dudes making up fake words and having a big laugh about it. My favorite word was distastic, which was a term for a really good insult. I feel like I'm not doing it justice right now. It's a real, you have to have been there kind of game. But it's the kind of game where I could very easily imagine a point system ruining it. Like if there was like points for doing certain words, I could see how I would end up being forced to play very bland words, or if it was a race, I'd be forced to like make up words that didn't make any sense just to get my points out there. But because I had the freedom to only play the cards when I felt like it, I found myself like holding on to them, trying to make the funniest or most interesting words. It was really more of a like an improv tool, and I really enjoyed it. It was a highlight of like playtest over the weekend. Yeah, I really liked it. Looking forward to where that one goes. All right. So now back to regularly scheduled news, and there's actually like a lot of it. Firstly, it's finally been announced. Persuasion will be published by Hollandspiel next year. This time it's actually signed. We're gonna make it work, and I've already seen some drafts of the cards, and I really like it. So sometimes the universe works in mysterious ways. I'm really happy to be working with Hollandspiel again. And there's you might have heard this from like Amabel like podcast, but we're planning on using like dry erase markers instead of the SAMP system. And honestly, I'm really excited for it because I could see some potential for some like really fun like ways you could play with that, or just put your personal mark on it. And it's really thematically appropriate for what that game is. So I'm really jazzed about it. But funnily, that's probably not the first game of mine that's getting published in 2025. Technically, Vibes is the game that's going to be getting published first. It's my game about helping students find friends that they vibe with. And I'm going to be selling it at MegFest at MITS, the MegFest Indie Tabletop something. And I'm going to be selling it through Lunar Punk Games. Who are Lunar Punk Games? Well, they are a very small publishing venture that I'm starting up along with Matthew Hawker and Maya Thomas. Matthew Hawker being the designer of Hollow, and Maya Thomas being the designer of Curse VHS. The goal of Lunar Punk Games being to publish multi-victor and victorless games, these unranked games, we're still getting everything up and running. We're like working on branding. It's like everything is just like barely getting started. But if you're interested in following news on that endeavor, you should check out the website lunarpunk.games. I'll put a QR code or something right there. Okay, cool. Cool? We're good? Alright. Now for game updates. So, yeah, because of the aforementioned sort of self-publishing of Vibes, I've been hyper-focused on it. All month, the entire month. I had like a 2-week period where I was recovering from surgery, but still able to do stuff. And I spent that entire time working on the rulebook and making art, making unique art for the cards. So, got that all set up. I added some goofballs, and I got a lot of help from Matthew Hawker on the rulebook, and I got Maya's help with this awesome logo. Ooh, ah. And slapped that on a box. I'm really happy with it. Yay! Alright. Bread, I got a lot of testing at PAX Unplugged done for it. I'm planning a lot of changes to the rulebook. In short, more pictures, less words. That's a little lesson I picked up from working on the Vibes rulebook. For Conviction, testing was a massive improvement. This is the first time testing with the new graphic design changes with the little disc that you move. It was a lot easier for people to grasp. I'm just going to look to see if I could do some more graphic design changes to iron out like the bits that people often forget, like being able to move 2 cards with some of the actions, and also the game ending when the support deck runs out. Stuff like that. And then Unraveled, testing continues to go well. I'm trying to find a way to better dynamically balance it. You see, I added a lot of space for there to be wasted examines to let the sleuths have a little bit more expressiveness in pursuing their secondary goals. But this has thrown like stuff way out of balance from when you previously had to sort of examine perfectly. So, mew. Woo! That's a big update. Yeah. 2025 looks like it's going to be miserable as all get out, but let's make it work, alright? Let's work with what we got. Happy New Year. Ciao. Bye. I gotta run. I gotta pick up my kid. Toodles.